At the turn of a century, Palauans were still going around in loincloths and grass skirts, their bodies smeared with turmeric. A century of intermittent contact with the British had left the people curiously unchanged. Palauans had been quick to recognize the advantage of European firearms, but there had been little change in the way people dressed and how they worked and what they ate. German influence in Palau began in 1905, when Senft sent his police chief, Winkler, to open a branch station there.
Herr Winkler, most of the Palauans talk of him as being very strict, and you, I guess, would expect that of a German bureaucrat.
Tamleungil esel tul wa sing bring la tingil mlemring la tingil lo lis aklo sei molal malius e morula aure melaya atap kra temelarak tralius mabu.
After their successes in Yap, the Germans were disappointed to find that the Palauans failed to meet their quotas for planting young coconut trees, and they had done no work on the public projects they were expected to complete. The men spent their days lounging in the clubhouses that were so central to Palauan village life. The clubhouses, or bais, were served by young women abducted from other villages who waited on the men and provided sexual services for them. Winkler's first campaign, then, was against the clubhouses. He decreed that no able-bodied man was to spend daylight hours in the clubhouse and called on his policemen to enforce this rule.
It's my understanding that the Germans were able to stamp out inter-village warfare as well as institutionalized concubinage.
Within a year, Winkler succeeded in suppressing clubhouse prostitution, which the Germans believed was responsible for the rampant venereal disease and decreased fertility that was leading to a serious decline in the population. In this campaign, Winkler found strong support from many of the island chiefs. They saw this as an opportunity to undercut the rival power of the clubhouses once and for all. The success of this first German initiative sparked other reforms. People were forbidden to give out children for adoption. Divorce laws were tightened. Work schedules were imposed for clearing land for planting. When some of the villages refused to comply, the German administration blamed the spirit mediums for launching a protest movement. The spirit mediums were men or women who spoke for the patron spirits of a village. Perched on the second floor of their high shrines, they were consulted for auguries on all important occasions, and were richly rewarded for their services. Although they stood outside the usual ranking system, these mediums often had a huge influence in local affairs. Their private wealth, powerful influence, and independent status made them formidable rivals of the Palauan chiefs. The spirit mediums continued to mount resistance to the German program of modernization. They invited the chiefs of Koror and Melekeok to join in an uprising to free Palau of its foreign rulers. When the chiefs reported the plot to the German authorities, Winkler marched with his small police force to Ngaralong at the northern tip of Bebeldaup to arrest the ringleaders in the plot to dislodge the Germans. Winkler burned down a new shrine that had been built against express German orders and took 6 spirit mediums into custody. The men were sent to Yap and later to Saipan, where they remained in exile for years. In all this, Winkler had the support of the chiefs, who were more than willing to help suppress the power of their rivals. The most influential figure among the Palauan chiefs, and the strongest ally in the modernization program, was a man by the name of Lo. One German described him as an imposing figure with his tall, muscular frame, his expressive face, his flowing white beard, and his bushy eyebrows. Europeans thought that he looked like Neptune, or an old Nordic sea hero. Lo had worked on a ship as a young man and was fluent in English. He had a mastery of seamanship and navigation that was unsurpassed on the island, and his years abroad had given him an appreciation of European ways. At Winkler's arrival, Lo held the second highest title in Koror and was one of the most respected men in Palau. Within a few years, he would become Ibidul, the High Chief of Koror. More than anyone else, Lo was to be the guiding spirit of reform, the prophet of the New Age.